Your heart beats 100,000 times today. It will do it again tomorrow and the day after that, quietly pumping 5,000 gallons of blood through 60,000 miles of vessels while you scroll through your phone, sit in traffic, and forget it exists. This tireless muscle, no bigger than your fist, has been working without rest since before you were born. And yet, for most people, the heart remains a stranger, a background rhythm taken for granted until something goes wrong. Modern life has created what scientists now call the stillness epidemic. We sit for an average of 10 hours a day, moving less in a week than our ancestors did in a single morning. Our bodies, sculpted by millions of years of walking across savannas and forests, now exist in chairs and cars. The heart, designed to support constant movement, finds itself trapped in a cage of convenience. It beats, yes, but without purpose, without the ancient rhythm that once defined human existence. But here's what most people never consider. What if your heart remembers something you've forgotten? What if buried deep in its chambers lies a blueprint for vitality, waiting to be activated by the simplest act imaginable? 10,000 steps, roughly 5 miles, 30 days. The numbers sound almost too simple to matter, like a whisper compared to the roar of gym memberships and extreme fitness regimens. Yet hidden within this modest commitment is a key that unlocks transformations most people believe require surgery or medication. When you begin walking 10,000 steps daily, you're not just exercising. You're speaking a language your cardiovascular system has been waiting to hear for years, perhaps decades. Within the first week alone, changes begin that most people never connect to their feet hitting pavement. Blood starts moving differently. Vessels remember how to expand. The heart itself begins a quiet revolution, recalibrating its rhythm to match a pattern older than civilization itself. So what actually happens when you give your heart this gift? What invisible switches flip inside your chest when your body realizes movement has returned? The answers begin not in a month, but in the first 7 days. And what occurs during that opening week might surprise you more than everything that follows. The first 3 days feel like a rebellion against comfort. Your legs protest with each morning alarm. Muscles you forgot existed announce themselves through dull aches that climb from your calves to your thighs. Blisters might form where shoes press against unfamiliar pressure points. Your body, accustomed to stillness, resists this sudden demand for movement. It's not pain exactly, more like confusion, as if your system is asking why you've broken years of silent agreement. During these initial days, your heart responds with what feels like a complaint. It beats faster during your walks, working harder than it has in months, maybe years. You might notice breathlessness climbing hills that never seemed steep before. This isn't a weakness. It's your cardiovascular system scrambling to meet a demand it hasn't faced recently. Blood rushes to working muscles, oxygen consumption spikes, and your heart rate climbs 10 to 20 beats higher than its resting state. The body is negotiating, trying to understand if this change is temporary or permanent. But then, somewhere around day 4, something shifts. The soreness begins to fade, replaced by a strange lightness. Your heart, having spent 72 hours adjusting, starts to become more efficient. Each beat begins pumping slightly more blood, a phenomenon scientists call increased stroke volume. Instead of racing to keep up, your cardiovascular system finds a rhythm. This is the moment your heart realizes you're serious. By day 7, changes are happening that you can't see, but can definitely feel. Your heart rate variability, the subtle fluctuation between beats that indicates cardiac health, begins to improve. Blood vessels start producing more nitric oxide, a molecule that helps them relax and widen, improving circulation. You might notice your hands and feet feel warmer, especially in the mornings. Sleep deepens slightly. There's a subtle lift in mood, like fog clearing from a window you didn't realize was dirty. The body's resistance hasn't disappeared entirely, but it's transforming into something else. Your legs remember the motion more easily. Your lungs expand with less effort. And your heart, that ancient muscle, begins to whisper a question it hasn't asked in years. What if this continues? What if you don't stop? Because the real transformation doesn't happen in week 1. It happens when your heart realizes this rhythm isn't a visit, it's a homecoming. Between weeks 2 and 3, something extraordinary begins deep inside your chest. Your heart, convinced now that movement is permanent, starts to remodel itself. The muscle walls grow slightly stronger, not larger in a harmful way, but denser, more capable. Each chamber learns to hold and push more blood with every contraction. This is your heart upgrading itself, switching from a standard engine to something far more efficient. The most remarkable change happens with stroke volume, the amount of blood your heart ejects with each beat. After just 2 weeks of consistent walking, this volume can increase by 10 to 15%. What does this mean? Your heart accomplishes the same work with fewer beats. It's like discovering your car suddenly travels farther on each gallon of fuel. By week 3, many people notice their resting heart rate has dropped 5 to 10 beats per minute. A heart that once beat 75 times per minute now beats 65. That's 14,000 fewer beats per day, yet the same amount of blood delivered. This is efficiency at its finest. Meanwhile, your blood pressure begins to regulate itself. The vessels throughout your body, stimulated by daily movement, become more flexible. They expand and contract more easily, reducing the resistance your heart faces with every pump. For someone whose readings once climbed toward concerning levels, this gentle walking can bring numbers down by 5 to 10 points. It's not dramatic, but it's meaningful. The difference between medication and management. Inside your heart muscle, microscopic power plants called mitochondria begin to multiply. These tiny structures produce the energy every heartbeat requires, and walking signals your body to build more of them. With increased mitochondrial density comes improved oxygen use. Your heart extracts more energy from each breath, from each molecule of oxygen floating through your bloodstream. It's becoming a master at doing more with less. Even your blood chemistry shifts. Inflammation markers, those silent indicators of cardiovascular stress, begin to fall. C-reactive protein levels drop. HDL cholesterol, the helpful kind, rises slightly. LDL cholesterol, the problematic kind, edges downward. New blood vessels sprout like tiny tributaries feeding into a river system, improving circulation to every corner of your heart muscle. Your cardiovascular system isn't just working better. It's rebuilding itself, cell by cell, beat by beat, into something stronger than it was just weeks ago. Yet all these changes remain invisible, hidden beneath skin and bone, until your mind begins to notice something it can't quite explain. Somewhere around week 3, you notice something unexpected. Your thoughts feel clearer, sharper, as if someone adjusted the focus on a blurry lens. Tasks that once required effort now flow more easily. This isn't a coincidence. Every step you take sends oxygen-rich blood surging upward into your brain, and after weeks of consistent walking, cerebral blood flow has increased by 20 to 30%. Your brain, like your heart, is receiving the nourishment it was designed to thrive on. Walking triggers the release of a remarkable protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists describe it as fertilizer for the brain, stimulating the growth of new neurons and strengthening the connections between existing ones. This isn't abstract theory. People who walk regularly perform better on memory tests, solve problems more creatively, and maintain focus for longer periods. Your heart and brain, ancient conversation partners, are remembering how to speak to each other. Then there's the emotional shift. Perhaps you've noticed that anxiety which used to grip your chest has loosened its hold. The irritability that flared without warning now surfaces less often. This happens because walking regulates cortisol, your primary stress hormone. After 30 minutes of movement, cortisol levels drop, while endorphins and serotonin, your body's natural mood stabilizers, rise. Day after day, this chemical rebalancing creates a baseline of calm that feels almost unfamiliar at first, like rediscovering silence after years of noise. Sleep transforms too. By week 4, many people find themselves falling asleep faster and waking less during the night. Walking synchronizes your circadian rhythm, that internal clock governing sleep and wakefulness. Your body temperature rises during movement and falls afterward, signaling to your brain that rest should follow. The vagus nerve, that vital connection between heart and brain, grows stronger with each walk, improving your body's ability to shift from stress to relaxation. This is the heart-brain axis at work, a biological dialogue most people never consciously experience. Your heart doesn't just pump blood. It sends signals upward through nerve pathways, influencing emotion, decision-making, and resilience. When your heart becomes stronger and more efficient, these signals change. They become steadier, more balanced. Your mind interprets this as confidence, as capability, as a quiet knowing that you can handle whatever comes. What began as simple movement has become something deeper. You're not just walking anymore. You're teaching your entire nervous system a new language, one where stress doesn't dominate, where clarity replaces confusion, and where your heart finally gets to tell your brain an ancient truth it's been waiting years to share. But here's what most people don't realize. These 30 days aren't just changing your present. They're rewriting your future. The Framingham Heart Study, which followed thousands of people for decades, revealed something profound. Those who walked regularly reduced their risk of cardiovascular disease by 30 to 40% compared to sedentary individuals. That's not a small difference. That's the gap between a heart attack at 55 and a healthy heart at 75. Every 2,000 steps you take reduces your mortality risk. The data is clear and consistent across populations. Walking 10,000 steps daily doesn't make you immortal, but it builds a fortress around your heart that few other interventions can match. Atrial fibrillation, that irregular heartbeat affecting millions, becomes significantly less likely. The risk of stroke drops. Heart attacks, those sudden catastrophic events, find fewer pathways to occur because your arteries are healthier, your blood flows more freely, and your cardiac muscle has learned efficiency. The mechanism is elegant. Walking preserves endothelial function, keeping the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels flexible and responsive. It slows atherosclerosis, that gradual buildup of plaque that hardens arteries and chokes blood flow. While walking can't reverse decades of arterial damage, it stops progression in its tracks. Imagine rust spreading across metal, then suddenly halting. That's what happens inside your vessels when movement becomes consistent. Your blood itself changes composition. Platelets become less sticky, reducing the likelihood of dangerous clots forming. Inflammation markers like C-reactive protein continue their downward trend, signaling that systemic stress is retreating. Perhaps most remarkably, walking influences your cells at their deepest level. Telomeres, those protective caps on chromosome ends that shorten with age, degrade more slowly in people who walk regularly. You're literally slowing cellular aging with each step. Of course, 10,000 isn't a magic number written into your DNA. Some people need 12,000 steps for optimal benefit. Others find 8,000 sufficient. Age matters. Starting fitness level matters. And walking alone isn't a complete solution. What you eat, how you sleep, whether you smoke, all of these factors weave together into the tapestry of heart health. Walking is powerful, but it's not a permission slip for other forms of self-destruction. Still, the evidence remains overwhelming. 30 days of walking is a down payment on longevity, an investment where your heart is both the banker and the beneficiary. Each step is a declaration that you choose life over convenience, movement over stillness, and a future where your heart keeps beating strong long after others have faltered. Yet perhaps the most profound truth about walking 10,000 steps daily isn't found in medical journals or research labs. It's written in your evolutionary history. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans walked, not as exercise, but as existence. Hunter-gatherers covered 10 to 20,000 steps naturally, moving through landscapes in search of food, water, and shelter. Their hearts beat strong, not because they tried to be healthy, but because movement was inseparable from survival. Modern sedentary life is the aberration, not the norm. We've existed in chairs and cars for barely a century, a blink in evolutionary time. Your heart, shaped by millennia of walking, remembers this rhythm, even if your conscious mind has forgotten. When you walk 10,000 steps, you're not inventing a new practice. You're rediscovering an ancient one, speaking a language your cardiovascular system has known since before your ancestors had words. This is why 30 days feels so transformative. You're not forcing your body into something foreign. You're allowing it to return home. Walking becomes meditation in motion. Each step a small prayer of gratitude to the body that carries you. It's medicine that requires no prescription, costs nothing, and has side effects that make life richer, not harder. The most powerful intervention for heart health has been available all along, hiding in plain sight as the simplest human movement. Consider what 30 minutes represents, not even 2% of your waking day. Yet, that small investment compounds exponentially. 30 minutes today protects tomorrow. 30 days reshape a month. 30 years could mean the difference between witnessing your grandchildren's graduations or becoming a memory they carry. Your heart is waiting for this decision, has been waiting perhaps for years, patient and persistent in its 100,000 daily beats. If your heart could speak after these 30 days, it wouldn't demand praise. It would simply say, "Thank you. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for moving. Thank you for choosing life." Because walking isn't punishment or obligation. It's a conversation with your biology, an acknowledgement that you and your heart are partners in this journey, not strangers passing in the night. So if this changes how you see those 10,000 steps, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're curious about what else your body can do when given the chance, explore deeper. Because every discovery about your heart is really a discovery about yourself, your capacity, your resilience, and your choice to keep moving forward. With each step, your heart whispers an ancient truth. Movement isn't just life, it's living.